Morning, children. I am your teacher for today, and I am Giselle Abanag, but you can call me Teacher Giselle. Our lesson for today is about data representation in tables. But before that, let's have first our objectives. First, identify what a table is and its purpose in organizing data. Second, create simple tables to organize data. And lastly, appreciate the usefulness of tables in organizing information. Data presentation is the process of taking raw and organized information and transforming it into a clear, understandable, and often visually appealing format. Think of it as taking a jumbled mess of facts and figures and arranging them into a meaningful story. Raw data, in its organized state, is like a puzzle with all the pieces scattered on the floor. It's difficult to see the big picture or draw any conclusion from it. Making data presentable involves organizing and structuring the information in a way that reveals patterns, relationships, and insights. It often involves using visual tools like tables, charts, and graphs to communicate and data in a way that it easy to grasp and interpret. There are two main ways to present categorical data. First, tabulating data, the summary table. This involves organizing the data into a table which is a grid with rows and columns. The table has headings that identify the categories and each row represents a different category. We can use represent the frequency or count of each category. The second is graphing data. This involves using visual representations to show the data. There are different. A summary table, also called a frequency table, is a way to organize categorical data in a table format. It helps you see how often each category appears in your data. It works by listing the different categories of your data in one column of the table and record how many times each category appears in your data. This is called the frequency. For example, let's say you ask your classmate what their favorite classroom pets are. Here's how you might create a summary table. The first column lists the different categories of pets: fish, hamster, turtle, and bird. The second column shows how many students choose each pet. For example, 5 students said fish was their favorite. The benefit of summary table is neatly organize the data so you can easily see how many times each category appears. It allows you to compare the frequency of different categories. For example, you can see the fish is the a bar graph is a visual way to present data using bars or rectangles. Each bar represents a different category, and the height or length of the bar shows the amount or frequency of that category. We use a bar graph to make it easier to compare the amounts or frequency of different categories at a glance. They help people understand data quickly, even if they're not familiar with numbers. They can also highlight patterns and trends in data. Example is this graph entitled Favorite Candy. A pie chart is a circular graph that shows how different parts of a whole data set relate to each other. It's like slicing a pie into different sections where each slice represents different category or part of the whole. So, how does it work? The entire circle represents the total amount of data. Each slice of the pie represents a different category, and the size of the slices is proportional to the percentage of the data that falls into that category. The slices are often labeled with percentage showing what proportion of the whole each category represents. Example, ingredients in a butter cake. Let's say a butter cake recipe uses these ingredients: flour 2 cups, sugar 1 cup, butter 1 cup, eggs 3. We could create a pie chart to show the proportion of each ingredient. Pie charts are good for showing how parts of a whole relate to each other. They are easy to understand visually. They highlight the relative proportions of different categories within the whole. A Pareto diagram is a visual tool used to identify and prioritize the most significant factors contributing to a problem or issue. It's based on the Pareto principle, which states that roughly 80% of effects comes from 20% of causes. So, how does it work? The bars represent the categories or factors being analyzed. Underlines represent the frequency or magnitude of each factor. The bars are usually arranged in descending order from the largest to the smallest. A cumulative frequency line is superimposed on top of the bar graph. This line shows the running total of the frequencies as you move from left to right across the bars. The bars are always arranged from the tallest to shortest, highlighting the most significant factors first. The line graph shows the cumulative frequency, helping you visualize the percentage of the total represented by each factor. The Pareto principle suggests that focusing on the few most significant factors can have the biggest impact on addressing the problem. Here's an example Pareto diagram. We use Pareto diagram because it helps identify the most significant factors contributing to a problem. The combined bar and line graph provides a clear visual representation of the relative importance of different factors. And lastly, it's a powerful tool for identifying areas for improvement and making decisions. And that's all for today. Thank you.